Good morning. This is another edition of 3Q with Oliver, an experience in which I interview one of our community members, whether it's a student, member of staff, faculty, or alumnus. We are really proud to showcase the people that we have here in our community at LSU Vet Med. This morning, I'm really excited to be talking to Dr. Sydney Mordoh, who is one of our equine surgery residents, but she's also doing a PhD. And we have here with us too a horse called Lefty. He's feeling a bit sleepy at the moment, but I'm sure as the interview goes on, he'll liven up somewhat. So welcome. This is a chance to find out about our surgery residents and also doing a PhD at the same time. Quite a unique combination. So Sydney, welcome. Really pleased to speak to you. Tell us a little bit about your research, because I think it's quite fascinating and a big area of medical practice and a challenge for us to treat.
Yes, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. So I am looking at sepsis, mostly looking at the innate immune response in horses. And so for our equine patients, it's one of the leading causes of morbidity and mortality in them, and they're very susceptible to endotoxemia, more so than a lot of our large animal species. And so, a lot of patients that we have come in, that's something that we worry about, especially laminitis. So I am looking at neutrophils and neutrophil extracellular traps, specifically two main pathways that we also see in people, and look at them more closely in the horse and see if we can look at diagnostic and prognostic indicators to hopefully develop in the future a stall side test to be able to help with our treatment options in the future.
Fantastic, and neutrophils are just one of the many innate immune cells. I'm an immunologist myself, so you're actually speaking my language. This is good. So tell us a bit about how you have transitioned or integrated your PhD studies with being a resident, because either of them is a pretty big challenge, and to integrate them together is quite wonderful, actually. It's really informing the science with clinical practice and the other way around. What brought you to this stage in your career?
Yes, that's a great question. As a veterinary student, I had an interest in research and gained experience in the summer during summer programs.
Okay, great.
Been able to write my own grant for a research project out in Africa.
Which country?
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe, wow.
Zimbabwe. And so I really started gaining the experience on looking at specific research questions, how to conduct a project, and integrate that into my studies. And so when I started an internship at Ohio State, I quickly wanted to get involved in research, and I looked at acute phase proteins and colic. So specifically when horses come in on emergency, looking at their acute phase proteins and indicators to hopefully look at diagnostic and prognostic indicators.
And that was several, or one in particular? I mean,
that was several different acute phase proteins, and so I gained that experience at Ohio, and then also some benchtop lab work, and then pursued that into writing a paper. So I'm currently in the writing process and presented at ACVS.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. So for me, what I found becoming and transitioning from a student to a clinician was asking these questions in the back of my head, these research questions, and how things happen in the process with our patients, specifically my interest in septic patients. And so to me, being a researcher and being a clinician come hand in hand, and that's what really drove me to pursue a PhD and really interested me.
And it's really the exemplar of being a clinician scientist. One informs the other, and I think having that clinical experience gives you a step up when it comes to answering some of the key questions in your research setting. Out of interest, who's your mentor? Who's your
Dr. Liza is my mentor.
So Britta
Yes.
Liza, absolutely, yeah. She's quite wonderful herself, and a lot of the work that lab is doing is really impactful and of world-class significance. What would you recommend that people do if they want to get into PhDs? How would you suggest residents, or indeed DVM or non-DVM graduates, transition or navigate the path to a research project and a research career afterwards?
For a veterinary student, I would recommend taking advantage of the research opportunities involved in the university. So at LSU, you have the Summer Scholars Program, and I highly recommend, if you have an interest in research, finding what you like and what motivates you and what you're passionate about. A PhD is not an easy feat. I think it's something that, you know, for me, I found my passion in research, and I think it's an important way to find your niche and what you like, and, you know, and follow that role.
Absolutely. And this is now asking additional questions. I sometimes do this. So Dr. Mordoh is being put on the spot at this point, but I'm sure she'll handle it with aplomb. What are your next steps? So what do you anticipate doing after you've finished both the residency and the PhD?
I really enjoy academia. I've been
That's great.
I've been in academic positions for 3 years.
Right.
So my time at Ohio State, I was an intern at LSU. I was an equine medicine and surgery intern. And then I also was an EHSP intern, and was involved in these guys and the research horses and studies that they were involved in involved me during that time. And so for me, I enjoy teaching, I enjoy helping out with labs and the veterinary students, and that's something that I would like to partake in, both in research as well as clinics, and being involved in the academic setting.
Fantastic, good. Well, do you have any final comments? Thank you very much for your time. We've really enjoyed engaging and speaking with you.
Thank you for having me. I would just say, you know, to all of the students out there, follow your dreams and follow your passions. You never know where you'll find yourself in the next few years. Your path can change at any time. So, you know, take advantage of those opportunities, and you'll end up finding what you enjoy and what motivates you.
So wonderful. Well, there you have it from Dr. Sydney Mordoh, one of our wonderful house officers and graduate students. So we embrace the values, integrity, innovation, and compassion, and she does that with great finesse. And this really speaks to our vision, which is bettering lives through education, public service, and discovery. So thank you very much for another edition of 3Q with Oliver. Thank you.